Welcome to the Mystic Syndicate. I'm your host, Brian, and this evening we'll be continuing our world building series with part 2 of Deities and Demigods. The last time we covered creation gods and even touched on civilizations that may hold atheistic norms and mores. But this evening we will be delving back into celestial beings and how to use them in your new fantasy world. So let's first take a look at sky, sun, goddesses, and gods. So these are deities of the sun, light, sky, or celestial phenomena. Examples of this would be gods of the dawn, radiance or weather, and the traits you'll often find of these are often symbols of hope or purity, opposed to darkness or shadow deities, which we will get into later. Some examples of these in the real world would be the Egyptian sun god Ra, often depicted with a falcon head and a solar disk, embodying light, creation, and hope. Revered as a symbol of purity and opposed to chaotic forces like Apep. We also had Apollo from the Greek pantheon. He's a god of the sun, light, prophecy, and music, associated with radiance and clarity, often seen as a bringer of order and inspiration. You have Sira, who's from the Hindu pantheon, the solar deity riding a chariot across the sky, symbolizing the life-giving light and cosmic order. Amaterasu, from the Japanese pantheon, sun goddess, source of light and purity in Shinto, embodying hope and reverent and revered as an ancestor of the imperial family. And last but not least, we have Inti, which is an Incan sun god, central to Incan worship, associated with warmth, agriculture, and divine kinship. So next up on our block is moon and night gods and goddesses. Deities of the moon, the stars, and darkness. And you can also even throw in dreams in there. So examples would be gods of mystery, night, or illusion. The traits are often enigmatic or tied to cycles, maybe revered by nocturnal beings. Some examples of those in our world would be Artemis, the goddess of the moon, hunting, and the night. You also had the Egyptian god Thoth. He was a god of the moon, wisdom, and writing, often associated with knowledge and the enigmatic nature of the night. We had Chandra, who was a Hindu god of the moon, representing cycles, dreams, and calm, often linked to poetic inspiration and nocturnal serenity. And then, of course, we have Sin or Nana, which is a Mesopotamian god of Sumar and Akkad, tied to timekeeping and the cyclical nature of months, revered for his mysterious light. Next up on the block is gods and goddesses of the forge, or crafting gods. So these are deities of craftsmanship, invention, or industry. So examples of these would be gods of blacksmithing, architecture, or technology. And the traits that would often be what you would find with them are revered by artists, dwarves, or builders, and associated with creation through labor. Some of the gods that here on Earth would have met that criteria would be Hephaestus, which is the Greek god of blacksmithing, fire, and craftsmanship. You also had Romans Vulcan, equivalent to Hephaestus, god of fire and metalworking, associated with industry and volcanic power. In Egypt, you had Ptah, which was a creator god and patron of craftsmen, particularly architects and sculptors. In the Hindu pantheon, we had Visvakarma, which is divine architect and craftsman, credited with building the god's palaces and weapons. And from the Celtic, we had Gobanus, which is a god of smelting, worshipped by blacksmiths and metalworkers and Gaelish cultures for his majesty of craft. Next, we have healing life gods and goddesses. So deities of health, restoration, and vitality. Examples would be gods of medicine, rebirth, or nurturing. And the traits are benevolent, which means that they are friendly, often worshipped by clerics or healers, symbols of compassion. We have a few different gods and goddesses that would make that criteria. One would be Isis from the Egyptian pantheon, a goddess of magic and healing, known for nurturing and restoring life, especially in her role as a protective mother. We have Ire, which is the goddess associated with healing, revered by healers and linked to vitality and medical knowledge in Norse sagas. We also have, in another Egyptian one, Imhotep, defied mortal, revered as a god of medicine and architecture, worshipped by healers for his wisdom. So you have some examples there. Next up on the block are chaos and destruction gods and goddesses. So you have deities of disorder, ruin, or entropy. Examples would be gods of cataclysms, rebellion, or annihilation. Traits are often antagonistic, worshipped by cults or destructive forces. So one of the first gods that I think of is the Egyptian god Set, a god of chaos, storms, and disorder, often antagonistic, associated with the destruction and rebellion against Osiris. In the Greek pantheon, we have Eris, goddess of discord and strife, known for sparking conflict. In the Hindu pantheon, we have Kali, goddess of destruction and transformation, embodying both ruin and renewal, worshipped by those seeking change through entropy. And then, of course, from the Mesopotamian pantheon, we have Tiamat, a primordial chaos goddess depicted as a dragon of creation and destruction, defeated by the warrior Marduk to establish order. One more that I can add in there would be Loki, a trickster god associated with chaos and mischief, often causing disruption amongst the Aesir, revered by rebellious figures. So you could even consider Loki as a part of that group. So next is order and justice gods and goddesses. So these are deities of law, justice, or societal harmony. Examples are gods of governance, truth, or retribution. Revered by paladins or lawmakers, uphold balance or punish wrongdoers. Athena, goddess of wisdom, justice, and strategy from the Greek. Revered by lawmakers and warriors for upholding order and fairness. You have Ma'at, Egyptian goddess of truth, justice, and cosmic order, central to Egyptian law and morality, ensuring balance in the universe. You have Tyr from the Norse. He's a god of war and justice, associated with law and sacrifice. You also have Dike from the Greek, a goddess of justice, personifying moral order and retribution, often depicted as punishing wrongdoers. And from Mesopotamia, we have Shamash, sun god of justice and truth, overseeing law and fairness in Akkadian and Babylonian societies. Next up is the sea and ocean gods and goddesses. So these are deities of water, seas, river, or aquatic life. Examples would be gods of tides, storms, or marine creatures. The traits you'll often find with these are often mercurial, tied to sailors or coastal cultures. So you're not going to find a lot of worshippers of the sea gods on the top of a mountain or on some steppe or plain. Those are mostly you're going to find within the coastal cultures. Islanders would definitely have these this type of god. An example would be Poseidon from the Greek, god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses. We have Neros from the Greek, the old man of the sea, a benevolent sea god associated with marine life and coastal cultures. We have Varuna from the Hindu, god of water and the cosmic ocean, tied to rivers and seas, revered as a guardian of aquatic realms. Once again, Tiamat shows up, a primordial sea goddess, embodied the chaotic ocean before creation. So you can see that a lot of times you have a lot of overlapping when it comes to these gods and goddesses. Some may have traits from a different group, but that's okay. You can mix and match. That's a beautiful thing about your world. You can put whatever gods and goddesses you want in it, or no gods or goddesses. So next are animal beast gods and goddesses. So these are deities representing specific animals or the spirit of beasts. Examples would be gods of wolves, eagles, or serpents, often totemic, tied to specific creatures or even shapeshifters. So a good example would be Anubis from the Egyptian pantheon, jackal-headed god of mummification and the afterlife. Artemis, once again, showing up, goddess associated with deer, bears, and wild animals, revered as a huntress and protector of beasts. And we also have Horus, the falcon-headed god of kingship and the sky. He embodied the spirit of hawks and revered as a totemic deity. In the Hindu, we have Nandi, which was a sacred bull, mount of Shiva, symbolizing strength and devotion, revered as a divine animal. And from the Egyptian, another one, we have Taweret, hippopotamus goddess of childbirth and protection. That's interesting. I didn't even realize that. That's pretty neat. So next up, we have elemental gods and goddesses. So these are deities that are specifically tied to elements like earth, wind, fire, and air. Examples would be gods of volcanoes, rivers, mountains, or even the winds themselves, often tied to elemental planes or forces, revered by elementalists. So some earthly examples would be Agni from the Hindu, god of fire, central to Vedic rituals. You have Tlaloc from the Aztec, god of rain and water, associated with storms and fertility. From Egypt, you had Geb, god of the earth, representing the elemental ground and fertility, revered as the foundation of life. You have Aeolios from the Greek, keeper of the winds, controlling the elemental forces of air, revered by sailors and travelers alike. And last, we have one from the Hindu, Vayu, god of wind, embodying the elemental air and breath, linked to movement and life force. So there you go, have some examples of those. Next is goddess and goddesses of time and fate. So these are deities of destiny, time, or inevitability, gods of prophecy, cycles, or eternity itself. They're going to be mysterious, often detached, influencing the flow of events. Anaki, or Anaki, from the Greek, primordial goddess of inevitability and fate, representing the inescapable flow of time and destiny. Also, we have Kronos from the Greek, personification of time, often detached and mysterious, influence the progression of events. And we have Kala from the Hindu, god of time, and Zurvan from the Persian mythos, where a Zoroastrian god of infinite time, embodying eternity and the cosmic order of fate. Ooh, those are some deep gods right there, deep gods and goddesses. So next up are our trade, wealth, gods and goddesses. These are deities of commerce, wealth, or prosperity. The examples would be gods of the market, gold, or luck. Their traits are favored by merchants or adventurers, tied to fortune and opportunity. We also have Hermes, who is a god of trade, commerce, and messengers, revered by merchants for his association with wealth and luck. We have Lakshmi, a Hindu goddess of wealth, We have Inari from the Japanese Shinto deity of rice, prosperity, and commerce, revered by merchants and farmers for economic success. Mercury from the Roman pantheon, equivalent to Hermes, god of trade, profit, and travel, favored by those seeking fortune. So there you have some examples. Let's see, next to last, we have our hearth home gods and goddesses. So these are deities of family, home, or community. Gods of protection, hospitality, or kinship. They are benevolent, tied to domestic life or safety. Hestia from the Greek would be a good representation of this, a goddess of the hearth and home, embodying domestic life, hospitality, and family unity. We have Vesta from the Roman pantheon, equivalent to Hestia, goddess of the hearth, revered for protecting homes and ensuring community safety. Frigg from the Norse, goddess of marriage and the household. From Egypt, we have Bes, god of households, protection, and childbirth. And from Persian, the Zoroastrian deity Zam, a deity of the earth and hearth, tied to domestic stability and community. And last but not least, and one of my favorites, are the shadow and darkness gods and goddesses. Now, these are deities of secrecy, deities of shadow and forbidden knowledge, gods of assassins, espionage, or the void itself. Traits that you'll find are often sinister or morally complex, worshipped in secret. Erebus from the Greek, a personification of darkness and shadow, a primordial deity embodying the mysterious and obscure. We have Nyx, another goddess from the Greek, goddess of the night, enigma and powerful, revered as a primordial force of darkness. Again, Kali shows up from the Hindu pantheon, while also a chaos goddess. Her dark aspects tie her to shadow and destruction. We also have Hecate, the Greek goddess of magic, the night, and crossroads, tied to mystery in the shadowy realms, worshipped by those seeking hidden knowledge. Now, these categories, of course, can overlap. Deities in fantasy RPGs often have multiple domains, a goddess of both love and war. Pantheons vary by setting, with some gods being benevolent, others malevolent, and many morally ambiguous. So when creating or exploring a game world, consider how these deities interact, their cultural significance, and how their worshippers, clerics, cults, or even whole nations, shape the narrative. If you'd like help designing a specific pantheon or want examples from a particular RPG system, just let me know in the comments below, and I will be happy to help you out. Again, this is Brian from the Mystic Syndicate, and check back in with us again when we will have another session dealing with world building. Have a good night.